Annie, we have an election in November. Everybody's paying attention to the presidential candidates, but you've got another take on this, right?
Yes, everyone's focusing on the presidential election, and the presidential election is the one that always brings out the most voters, even though we wish that voters were as interested in local government as in the presidential one. And for this election, the prediction is that there will be a huge turnout with large numbers of people registering and voting for the first time. And if they're registering and voting for the first time in California, many of them are not prepared for the huge job that is, because we have so much local government and so many measures to vote on. I've brought as a prop to show, this is a typical ballot for voters in California. This is 14 inches long and it's on both sides. And the president is just the beginning. We will be voting for Congress, for the state Senate, for the state assembly. No board of supervisors, actually. Nobody challenged them. The Sausalito City Council, 3 little school districts, the healthcare district that Margaret has been talking about, the water district, which is facing the decision about whether to build a desalination plant, and it's the Stinson Beach Water District, and way, way down to the small little Strawberry Rec district, right. Most people don't know the extent to which we have local government in Marin County. 66 elected boards and councils. Wow. We have 1 county government, but we have 11 cities and towns, 6 community service districts, 8 fire districts, 3 water districts, 11 sanitary districts, 2 public utilities. Then we also have mosquito and vector control, and then 20 school districts. 20 school districts in a county with a population of 250,000. It's amazing. I remember describing this once on a trip we did to an elder hostel to Sweden, where I told this to the coordinator, and he said, "We just had an election in Sweden, and I had a piece of paper which I made 3 marks on." Well, then beyond the local government is the state ballot measures, of which there are at this point.
How many?
12.
12.
Right.
For November.
Right. And if you want some hot button issues, do I have hot button issues for you?
I'll bet you do.
Animal rights. We're having parental notification for abortion for teenage girls. 2 on the issue of drugs and crime, one which seems to be more tender and positive about crimes, the other which wants to lower the boom and be tougher. Gay marriage is on, and then there's 2 environmental measures, higher standards for renewable energy sources and alternative vehicle.
Don't we have a redistricting?
Redistricting, interesting that you would mention redistricting. While the League of Women Voters sometimes deplores the kind of responsibility that voters have for deciding these major issues and for amending the Constitution at every state election, the League of Women Voters also uses the initiative process, and the League of Women Voters helped to write this proposition on redistricting. So if you ever tried to get rid of the initiative process, so people moan and groan about the responsibility they have and how much hard work it is, actually if you try to take it away from them, they would yell bloody murder, because everyone thinks of it as something to fall back on if the legislature is not, that's why the League is interested in this redistricting, because they know that the legislature would never give up the right to
elect themselves.
Really, right. Here we have the census coming in the year 2010, and it's a chance again to try and take the responsibility for redistricting themselves out of the legislature. Everyone agrees that the last one that was done was what people call a bipartisan gerrymander.
Yeah, bipartisan gerrymander, yes.
For incumbents.
They both agreed.
Right. Now then, it's not just that there will be state ballot measures, there will also be local ballot measures, and I actually don't know 100% of them. I know there's a Mill Valley School District parcel tax, and if we weren't here today in the studio doing this program, we would all be at the Board of Supervisors instead watching their meeting where they try to decide whether to put a measure on the ballot on open space, fire protection,
Right.
and support for Marin Agricultural Land Trust, or whether they'll decide not to do that or can't have the votes because they need a 4-5 vote to put it on. And the conversation last week was it looked as if the board was lining up 3-2. There might be a measure that that is recommended by the administration of the county to reorganize the way that the county finances are managed. It'll be a very controversial one, though, because the proposal is to eliminate 2 positions that are elected and combine them into a single finance finance manager appointed by the Board of Supervisors. And some people regard it as a power grab. Others think that actually having a clearer chain of responsibility and accountability that comes up to the Board of Supervisors is a much better way to govern the county.
Yeah. I know the League is also looking at the smart
That's right.
smart rail.
That's right.
That's going to be on the ballot.
Smart is
and I
on the
guess
ballot.
We're still haven't
Right.
gone.
We haven't
come out
made our
with
recommendation, but we're
Yeah.
having a big meeting,
on it.
next week
Yeah.
where the League will decide whether or not it will support. Some
Okay.
people aren't aware that the League actually takes positions. We do more than just explain things and have
Right.
candidates. There are issues on which the
two
League.
sides of our
That's right.
organization.
There are.
And how can the voter begin to get? I know there's a lot of information out there on the internet. Where do they start to get all this information and educate themselves on these issues and candidates?
California is unusual compared to other states in that the amount of material that they provide to voters at public expense, like the sample ballot that you get and the ballot pamphlet from the state. But also our phones used to just ring off the hook but before an election with people needing more information. Now they could start with Smart Voter, where they can look up their own ballot and see what it's got on it. And then all the Registrar of Voters and the Secretary of State have been developing their websites so they're more and more useful. And then they all link to each other. So you go to one, and they'll tell you all the other places that you can go for additional information. So
I know the legislative analyst does a great job on putting together the
legislative analyst
propositions
is one of
information.
the great inventions of California.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ed.